So Sandy, short for Alexander,
Yes.
Sandy Fleming with us today in Achnacarry. And if you see us swatting around like this, it's because there are these little bugs called midges and they bite, so we're swatting them out of our faces while we're here. We're in Achnacarry in the Highlands of Scotland, just adjacent to the Clan-Cameron Museum. The reason we're at the Clan-Cameron Museum is because not only is this the family seat of the Camerons, with behind us in the trees behind us, the Lord Lochiel's castle and his family seat, but it equally, this land around us was the training ground for the Royal Marine Commandos, the Green Beret Commandos, the French Free Commandos, and the U.S. Rangers. So that's why we're here today. Sandy, very kindly, who's 17 now, very kindly, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yes.
3 years ago, took us on a walking tour of the estate already, so we got to see that. But I'm here, I want to ask Sandy today kind of what's his story, why that young, because as I said, 14, he was 14 when he took us on this first tour. Why at 14 were you able to give a guided tour of a historical estate for the Clan-Cameron? I want to know why. What's your family connection?
Well, I was born here and I was brought up here, so I remember these
Here?
Yeah, here
Wow.
in Achnacarry, and I remember this from the time that I was born, you know, and you know, because we always heard the stories, and not just the commando stories, but also the Jacobite stories, the Cameron stories. We heard all the stories, and I was taught them, and then when I was 7 years old, my mother became the curator of the Clan-Cameron Museum, and I've ever since then I was involved in that since I was 7 years old, you know. So
Like at the end of the school day,
at the
you'd
end of
come
the
and
school
meet
day,
mom,
I'd come
and
here
you're here,
I
hanging out here in the museum.
I actually remember when I came home from primary school, the bus used to come up to the end, and it wouldn't come all the way up the driveway, so it just abandoned me there, and I had to walk all the way up the driveway.
That's
to
a
the
bit
museum.
of a walk from
Yes,
from the gates, from
yes,
those main gates.
From the castle
That's
gates,
like a
yes.
half a mile, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Wow. Okay, at 7.
Yeah. So that was that, and at that time I started, as I was becoming more interested in learning more about it, I had always taken people on tours of the estate, because nobody else was doing that. I wasn't paid at this time, I should point out. But yeah, I used to take people on tours around and just show them the general, I would show them a good view of the Achnacarry Castle, which is the home now of the 28th Cameron Chief. As I'm sure a lot of you know, we lost Lochiel last October. So I would show people that, and I would show people the ruins of the original castle that was burnt down after Culloden, because it was wooden and it was just the centre chimney that was remains.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah,
remember seeing
yeah.
that back behind the
Back
other.
there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I would show them, and I would also show people the commando training grounds, which is. Can I tell a story about
Sure.
how these two things?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the reason because in the Second World War, Lochiel gave over the estate to the commandos, because this ground was absolutely ideal in the Highlands of Scotland for commando training. And the reason it's because along the Beach Avenue, which I took you on the last time you were here 3 years ago, there is an avenue of trees, and this actually ties the two stories together, because those trees were planted by the gentle Lochiel in 1745.
And it's called the Gentle
The
Lochiel.
Gentle
Why is it called the?
Lochiel.
I'm sorry about the bugs.
Yes.
We're going to be rubbing our faces
I
the
know.
whole time, but anyway, that is what it is.
Yeah, that's the
So the
Highlands.
Gentle, yeah, authentic stuff. We're
Yeah,
here. I mean,
yeah.
this is not in a studio. So
Yeah.
the Gentle Lochiel. Why the Gentle Lochiel?
The gentle Lochiel, well, because he was known for his gentle nature.
He was just generally a nice
He
man.
was a nice man.
Okay.
And so that's why. But he decided. What happened was he decided he wanted an avenue of beech trees up to his castle,
Just for
Just
the
for
grandeur
the
of the
grandeur
approach.
of it.
Oh, cool.
and he wanted to plant them in a nice, neat row. And if you look at Beech Avenue today, you can see they're not in that straight a line. They're a bit all over the place.
A bit wonky.
And that's because when he was about to start planting them, he received a message from Bonnie Prince Charlie, who called him over to come and fight in the
Oh,
battle
right.
in Culloden.
Okay.
And he said, well, what I'll do is I'll just put them in roughly, and then when I get back, I'll straighten them
I'm going to
out.
fix this.
Yes.
I'll straighten them. Okay.
And
So you just tossed them in the
yes,
ground, kind of,
yes.
in a haphazard way.
And,
Okay.
and unfortunately, he died in battle.
Oh, okay.
So they've grown up like that. And the thing about that was 200 years later, that turned out to be absolutely perfect for the commandos to fix their equipment to.
So when the commandos fix their equipment to this, they're actually attaching the, because this is where the demon rope bridge thing, what did they call that? There was a name for it. The bridge that
the
was...
death slide.
The death slide.
Death
Oh,
slide.
God. Well,
Yes.
yeah, well
Yes.
named. The death slide.
The death slide.
And so they fixed the attaches for that to go across the end of the loch, or
the river.
like
That's
a river.
River
Okay.
Archaig,
Okay.
which connects Loch Archaig to Loch Lochy.
Okay.
So, yes.
And did we do know as well that there were so all of these commandos that are training here, and as well as the Rangers and the British Royal Marine Commandos and the whole group. There were, I think I saw yesterday, they said there were like 12 or 13 different nationalities of soldiers who are training on these lands
Yes, that's right.
and on adjacent lands. They had a training period that lasted 4 or 6 months or something like
Yes.
that.
Yes, and I don't know if you might have actually told me this. I learned somewhere that the very first American that was killed in the Second World War
Absolutely.
trained here.
Yes, yeah.
which is
He
quite
was
interesting.
his name was Second Lieutenant Edward Lustillo.
Oh, yes.
And I believe
That
he
rings a
was
bell,
he
yeah.
was lodged in the main castle because he was an officer, and I believe the
Yes.
officers were all in the main castle.
Yeah.
And then the enlisted men were scattered in by nationality in different places on the grounds.
Yes.
You mentioned before we sat down as we were setting up that the cannon that's behind us was from World War I.
That was captured from the First World War.
From who? Captured by who? From who?
That's a good question.
No, okay.
Um,
So it's
yeah.
it's a cannon
And-
that it's
yeah,
our
yeah,
side
it's-
cannon or
it's-
their side
No,
cannon?
it's our side cannon. I know
Okay.
that, and it's a field gun, and it's actually been recently restored.
It looks
as you
really
can
nice.
see.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't
Yes,
realize it was
'cause
that old.
It is, because it was here the last time, but it was all, if you remember, it was all rusty, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wheel spokes were all rotten. But we had a restoration project on it, which was very kindly funded by the SSE Hydra schemes
Oh, okay. All right.
up here.
Yeah.
So
So they're with the Caledonian Canal
yeah,
and such.
yeah.
So tell me as well. I had heard that there's a project to extend the building towards the back,
Yes.
using maybe one of the Nissen huts that the Rangers were using or the Commandos were using,
Yes.
and
So-
then build a building around the Nissen hut, or use the Nissen hut itself.
Yeah. So for the last few years...
I'm sorry for the bugs.
No, it's
We could have
absolutely
been
fine.
doing this
It's
inside.
It's
Sorry
absolutely
about
fine.
that.
It's absolutely fine. No, for the last few years we have been planning to add an extension onto the back of the museum to serve as a more
Appropriate? Yeah,
a
appropriate,
more
yeah.
appropriate display about the commandos, and
Yes, because it is as it
Yes.
is now that the museum, for the right
Yes.
reasons, focuses mostly on
On-
Clan Cameron history and a
Yes.
lot about Barney Prince Charlie and the
Yes.
45 uprising and that period of time, which is so important because of the
Yeah.
gentle Lochiel.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
then the last room
yeah,
is about
yeah.
the commandos and their
Yeah.
training, and so everyone's kind of hoping that there will be a
A-
larger display
larger
area,
display.
and yeah,
And we have what I mean. If I should explain what a Nissen hut is.
yes,
A Nissen hut is where the commandos in training. That's where they lived. I think there were about 15 of them set up in the field behind us there,
Mhm.
and that's where they lived. That was where they ate. That was where
and
they.
they're these metal.
I mean, they're these just corrugated iron, semicircle, metal things.
Nowhere you'd want to live in the winter here.
No, definitely not in the winter. And now most of them have gone because they've been sold off to farmers and people over the
Yeah, a
years
lot of
for
that's been
storage.
upcycled
Yeah,
after the war, as
yeah.
it was.
Which-
People
which-
needed things.
Yeah,
We
which
were,
I mean is
yeah.
rightly so.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have one on the estate still, and I showed you it the last time you came. You
Right.
did a video of that.
We went inside,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
did some. Yep.
And we're going to use that, I think just a small portion of it inside the commando room to give a feel as to what their living conditions would have been like. Because
Maybe using showing a
Yeah.
camp cot
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing, and
yeah.
this is how,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what it was like.
Yeah, because
This is what your home was like.
Yeah, and it's important to try and understand how what they were living like, because I think that's something that's forgotten a lot, and it's important to remember is you're talking about this, and it's history and it's all these historical facts, But it's important to remember that these were real people with
Yes.
real lives,
Yes.
you know, with real ambitions, and it's all well and good to, you know, here are the facts of what they did, but you know, they were people as well.
So Sandy, what is it? Circling back exactly to what you just said,
Yeah.
Edward Lustilot,
Yes.
that first American who dies on the beach in Dieppe in August of 1942,
Yeah.
having not yet completed his commando training, so he's plucked from here
Yes.
and sent off with 49 other American Rangers,
Yes.
ready to go ahead and prove who they were. He's from Louisiana.
Yes.
Do you know what the weather's like in Louisiana? It's very hot, so they've got
Is
bugs,
it?
but of a
Yes.
different kind.
A different kind.
Not midges, it's something
Yes.
else, but they arrive here in the spring, and I mean, you know, it's like May.
Yes.
What's the weather like here in May?
May, it's, well, it depends really. There's a saying actually, if you don't like the weather in Scotland, just wait 15 minutes. But,
We saw that
yes,
yesterday
we
with
saw
the
that
rain and
on-
the sun and the
yeah,
rain and the sun. Yeah,
so
luckily it's
it
not raining
changes.
yet.
Sometimes it's nice and sunny, sometimes it's absolutely pouring in the middle of summer.
Would they have been afflicted by these little midgy bugs, you think?
The commandos.
In May,
Well,
you think that would have been
I would have thought that
appropriate?
would be the least of their problems, but
Well,
but
yeah, yes, you're right, because they were training using live ammunition,
Yes,
so it wasn't the
but-
midget. But I did see, it's
I'm
because
sure they
yesterday
didn't
in the
help.
archives I saw that there was an order for 750 cans of anti-midgy spray.
Oh, yes.
That the Rangers had ordered up for the 1st Ranger Battalion here. It was on their list of,
Oh,
you know,
right.
we need these supplies. So
Yes.
the midgy spray was a big thing.
Yes.
Sandy, what are you going to do now? I mean, I know you're in school, you're 17. What's in your future? What do you think you're going to do?
Well, I've always loved music, and you'll see this back in
Yeah,
a moment.
we'll talk about
I'd
that
like
in a
to
sec.
do something with that, I think.
Yeah.
And
Are you going to stay connected with this history?
this history, yes,
Can we count on you to be here when we come back?
oh, I'm sure,
Yeah?
I'm sure. Because, I mean, this circling back to, you know, how I got involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
I was, when my mother started running the museum, a few years later, I started to get very well connected with the Cameron of Lochiel family.
Yes.
Um,
We've seen, so this past weekend
Yeah.
has been the Cameron gathering, and there have
Yes.
been hundreds, I don't
Yes.
know how many people, but hundreds of
Yes.
people who were here. And I noticed how close you are to this generation of Lochiels
Yes.
coming up that are,
Yes.
you know, all pretty much younger than you, I think. Isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
The
they're all-
oldest of the boys is
he's 30, so they're all younger
13,
than me.
so they're all younger
Yeah.
than you. But
Yeah.
I've noticed that there's a real connection with that family.
Yeah, so, I mean, particularly with Donald Fergus Cameron, who will be, he'll be the next chief, of course.
Okay. And he's the one that's 13?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And Alison X. Trotter, if you're watching this, you guys are cool. Yeah.
So you think you're going to stay around in this area? This is
Yeah.
home for you?
Yeah, this is
gonna
certainly
be-
home for
it's
me.
gonna be it?
I've been brought up here. I've made some great connections here, so
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's great.
Wonderful. So what is it that you're going to play for us on the auto harp? A musical instrument that I'm not very familiar with, but apparently
No.
you need these things.
finger
yeah.
picks. And,
Finger picks.
can I
yeah.
talk a little bit about
Sure.
the history of how I learned to play this?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So,
Oops, this is the thing.
So this is called an auto harp, and I first heard this played by Mother Maybelle Carter, who is an American country music pioneer.
Oh, right.
Do you know the name?
No.
No.
Nope,
Well,
nope.
Yeah, and she was part of the Carter family, which was one of the first families of country music. But
Well, like
that's
June
more-
Carter?
Like June-
Carter? Oh,
yeah,
Johnny
she-
Cash's
yeah,
wife,
she-
June Carter?
She's,
Oh, okay.
she's June Carter's mother, actually.
Oh, all
Maybelle
right,
is.
okay. Yep. So Johnny Cash's mother-in-law.
Yes.
All right.
And because before she came along, they had auto harps, which is based off a zither. And
Oh, that's an
Yeah.
Appalachian.
That's an
Yeah,
Appalachian
an
thing.
Appalachian piece of.
And before Mother Maybelle
musical
Carter, you were only able to play just like rhythm
Oh, right.
on these instruments. But she invented a way of actually playing a melody on it,
Oh, okay.
which nobody had ever done before. And she also had a great way of playing guitar, but that's another story.
Okay.
And
And you also played the guitar.
yes.
What
yes,
other instruments do you play?
That's
in
it.
addition to that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
More than I can say.
Yeah. So this tune I'm going to play on it here is called The March to the Cameron Men, which is a pipe tune, like in the bagpipes, and this is the tune of the Cameron clan. It's their theme song almost.
Okay.
And it's a great pipe tune, but I transposed it onto this.
Oh
So,
wow, you did. You
yeah,
never had the music
yeah.
for this. You just took this
Yeah.
the song and
I've,
you. Oh
I've
wow.
I've never heard anybody play it on this.
Oh
until I
wow,
did it,
wonderful.
but-
Have at it.
So
Is it a so it would be like a marching tune?
Yes. Yeah.
The guys are going off to war with
Yeah.
this. How
Yeah.
when do you know when the song dates from?
Well, it was composed by Mrs. Mary Maxwell of Skellington, I believe, and she lived in the 19th century, so it would have been
Okay,
at some
so the
point in her
1800s.
life.
All right.
It would have been at some point in her lifetime. I don't think anybody knows exactly when.
Okay.
Um,
I'm so sorry for the midgies.
Yes,
we were
I
trying
know.
to avoid this, but
Yes, yes.
it's just that one of those things. Today is a midgie day.
yes. So I'm going to.
Are you okay?
Yes,
That's stuck in
yes.
yours. I got one in my eye, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
We'll deal
I
with
know,
it.
This is you're getting the full Highland
Yeah, I know
experience
it is.
today.
It is. It's
Yes.
about as authentic as it can
Yes.
get. All right.
So this is the March of the Cameron.
All right.
Men.
Whenever you're ready. Bravo. Wonderful.
Thank you
And
very
all
much.
this with being attacked by bugs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sandy, thank you so
Yes,
much.
you're very
I'm counting
welcome.
on you being back here next time we come.
Yes,
It'll be
definitely.
soon, we hope, sooner than later.
Yes.
And thanks for all your wonderful hospitality. And
Yes,
thank you
it's my
to
pleasure.
the Camerons of Loch Hill just behind us,
Yeah.
and for a wonderful weekend at the Cameron Clan
Yes,
Gathering.
definitely.
Thanks.